Continuing from the previous episode 1830. Oh yo, it's such a touching scene. Seeing Xiao Yan's heroic act of saving beauty, Han Zhanghai couldn't help showing a hint of ridicule on his sinister face. Although his strength was only in the early stage of the 7 stars fighting immortals, what he was proud of was the brown flame in his hand. With this flame that surpassed the heavenly seed, it was enough for him to crush Xiao Yan. Wang buzz. Sir. Gusts of gloomy winds surged, and in the black vortex, a steady stream of black shadows appeared. These guys were filled with a fierce and sinister aura, and the number was extremely large. I am afraid that even the royal family of the Star Continent had to pay an extremely painful price to deal with it. Let a few 7-star fighting immortals take you to the Emperor's palace, and I will arrive in a moment after I kill this kid. Han Zhanghai stared at Xiao Yan, and said to the black shadow of the emerging demand at will. Grown-ups. At this time, taking advantage of the decisive battle between the Hallmaster and the high-level royal family, it is the best time to join hands to obliterate the Emperor. Even the Hallmaster will give you that thing. If the fighter is delayed, the Hallmaster will blame it. In the shadows there was an anxious voice. Shut up! Get out of here! Gun Zhanghai heard the words, his face was hideous, and a fierce evil energy swept away with his feet as the center. Let's go! Seeing this, countless black shadows disappeared here immediately. It seems that your status is not that high. It's better to put down the butcher knife and become a Buddha. Maybe let me send you to *** to find a good position. Seeing this, Xiao Yan said excitedly, but the inner spiritual strength and soul strength are surging like the sea. Bastard! I hope you can be so calm in a while. Soul come. The black vortex kept shaking and spinning. Immediately, the vortex actually disappeared under Xiao Yan's eyelids. Which one is stronger or weaker, you will know after a test. Xiao Yan smiled slightly at this. At that time, the Henggu ruler on the palm of his hand was only pinched, and a touch of the strongest breath permeated, and even above the Henggu ruler, a touch of holy light pattern that was enough to eclipse the sky and the earth emerged, and Xiao Yan's breath soared to the peak. Boom! As soon as the two of them looked at each other, 2 terrifying energy ripples burst out of their bodies uncontrollably, colliding with the splendid surroundings of the altar, easily turning this place into a bubble. A boy who just relied on external forces to be forcibly promoted to the 6-star fighting immortal, and he is trying to oppose my soul palace, a thing that doesn't know what to do. With one blow, Soul Zhanghai realized that Xiao Yan was only strong on the outside and dry on the inside, and a touch appeared on the corner of his mouth. Sarcastically, sneered, "Don't talk too much, or you will follow in the footsteps of the strong men before the Soul Hall." Xiao Yan also sneered, but the amber flames all over his body suddenly rose, and every time the black mist and ghost chi touched his own time, will be quietly swallowed by it. Don't be ashamed. Suffer to death. Han Zhanghai sneered. On the palm of his hand, a brown flame burst out like the only light in hell. Immediately, the handprints changed rapidly. The huge creature composed of mist and ghost gas trembled out. For a time, the ground shook and the mountains trembled, and the void became trembling. As the black mist creatures raised their hands, blocks of incomparably gigantic rocks with a fierce aura were blasted at Xiao Yan with the momentum of lightning. Small worm carving trick. Seeing this, Xiao Yan waved at will, and Heng Ji brought the amber flame on his body and directly attacked Soul Zhanghai's attack. This guy's flame is much more tyrannical than ordinary flames, but it is a lot weaker than Holy Flame. I am afraid it is also a sub-fire of Holy Flame, and this Holy Flame's ranking is enough to rank in the top 16. But this is just a test of my wood attribute. Feeling the crazy fluctuation of the amber flame and soul fire on his body, he was extremely greedy and wanted to swallow the flames on Soul Zhanghai's body, Xiao Yan muttered. Wooden attribute Do Nucleus. Xiao Yan roared. The fire attribute Do Nu in his body continuously released flames to maintain his body above the 6-star Do Xian perfection level. At the same time, a green aura surged. Dozens of huge green tengmen suddenly burst out from under the ground, piercing the void like a poisonous snake, and blasted away at the Soul River and Sea, surrounded by flames on the tengmen, and its power was endless. Chi. Even if Han Zhanghai had expected it, after the dozens of tengmen attacked, a rare palpitation appeared in his heart, and he seemed to smell some dangerous aura from it. Holy Flame. And wood attribute? What an enviable guy. But, compared to me, you're still a little weaker. Black Devil Finger. With an order, Soul Janghai stood above the creatures in the black mist. At the same time, his shriveled fingers stretched out from the black mist and pointed to Xiaoyan's position. The black finger-ons, there are countless ghosts wailing around the finger-ons, and traces of black lines quietly permeate. Hoo-hoo, then let's see who wins and who loses. Xiaoyan also snorted coldly, his feet slumped heavily on the ground, and the ground sank a lot, and scales containing ancient breath appeared one after another. Above Xiaoyan's arm, and then jumping suddenly, countless powers are like the maker of the rules between heaven and earth, which cannot be shaken. Dragon Scale. No is the dragon pattern? Ha ha ha. Die. Seeing the endless means on Xiaoyan's body, the brown flames on Han Janghai's body were beating rapidly. The faint brown flames quietly formed a complex pattern in front of the Soul River and Sea, like a delicate flower, and above the flower, there is a touch of tyrannical and domineering evil power, which is instantly blessed on the black finger light. In an instant, the situation changed. Hoo! Pushing out with a palm, on Xiaoyan's arm, a huge turtle-like creature, accompanied by a monstrous water curtain capable of spanning the entire mountain range, ran towards the Soul River Sea with terrifying power enough to shatter the mountain. With the complete power of the six-star Do Xian, the defensive fighting skills of the pattern of domination, and the complete fusion, the palm of the Dragon God's 3 transformations has been assembled. Fairy, Xiaoyan, Lin Yunshu, who had just escaped from the altar in the distance, looked at these fierce attacks and explosions with a complicated expression, but after some hesitation, he fled and headed towards the Emperor's palace. For a time, above the sky, in front of the 4 dragon lock coffins, 4 7-star fighting immortals headed by Lin Fengya, and 10 elders, and Xiaoyan in the altar, the 2 battles started slowly. Continuing from the previous episode 1831. Boom! After the deafening voice emerged, 2 extremely fierce attacks fell instantly. The pitch-black finger-ons under the blessing of the strange flowers turned into brown flames were mixed with unparalleled terrifying power. In an instant, Xiaoyan's dragon arm palm, accompanied by the heavy feeling of the water attribute, slammed heavily on it. Crash! The monstrous water curtain and the huge dragon palm transformed by Xiaoyan's dragon arm just touched the brown flame and black light, and a sharp and ear-piercing sound emerged, and then bursts of white mist came one after another from the point where the 2 attacked. Ha ha ha! Boy, it's over! After Shunshi, watching Xiaoyan's attacks retreating steadily, Soul Janghai snorted coldly, and a gloomy voice filled the void. The realm of wood, the cage of 10,000 trees. Just as Soul Janghai came with overwhelming momentum, a rare smile flashed in Xiaoyan's eyes, and there was no sign of retreating. The dazzling flames on his body were instantly wiped with life. It is wrapped in a very strong green aura. Not good. At this moment, Rao, with the power of Soul Janghai, also smelled a sense of danger from Xiaoyan in front of him. Chi! Han Janghai just found out that something was wrong. He controlled his attack and quickly escaped from here, but how could Xiaoyan give him a chance? Sharp green vines emerged from the ground uncontrollably, and immediately without any hesitation, under the control of Xiaoyan, green rays of light flashed above the countless green vines, and they suddenly attacked the Soul River Sea. Go! This green light contains an extremely tyrannical repressive power. Death. Seeing Xiaoyan's fierce attack, the black finger-ons around Han Janghai surrounded by brown flames were quickly dissolved at a speed visible to the naked eye. Raised his footsteps and attacked Xiaoyan. It's just a phantom. Xiaoyan snorted coldly and waved his palms. Countless green tentacles seemed to have life, attacking the phantom from an extremely sharp and cunning angle. Illusions, to put it bluntly, are just creatures condensed with their own fighting spirit, and they are not as strong as beasts in summons. Destroy me. Looking at the dying phantom creature, Xiaoyan's eyes were bright, his palms and fists were wrapped in amber flame soul fire, and suddenly burst out. After being bound by green Tengmen, the phantom that was like a target was completely annihilated in Xiaoyan. Fire this blow. It seems that I really underestimate you. The black mist around him kept squirming, and there were countless bleak and gloomy screams in the vagueness. Soul Janghai snorted coldly. Come on with your true strength, otherwise. The wood attribute around Xiaoyan suddenly stopped attacking and quietly crawled beside Xiaoyan. This 10,000 wood cage is one of the 2 holy rank fighting skills, and it is the strongest single-person imprisonment and restraint fighting skills mastered by Xiao Yan. But every time Teng Man touches the body of Soul Zhanghai, he is not blackened all over. When the fog resisted, it directly penetrated through his body, which made Xiao Yan quite puzzled. Then, as you wish. Wan Hunhua. Hearing Xiao Yan's reckless words, a terrifying aura emerged from the black robe of Soul River Sea. A trace of brown flames separated directly from the black mist, and then quietly crawled in front of the Soul River Sea. At the same time, a beautiful white flower, like a magic flower blooming in hell, bloomed countless evil Meng. It turned out to be the 14th ranked Eternal Nightmare Flame on the Sacred Flame list. Looking at Soul Zhanghai's methods, Xiao Yan also successfully deduced the source of the brown flame. Eternal Nightmare Flame. This is a very special holy flame, because it feeds on demonic cultists for a living, so this leads to the human beings who can subdue it. However, Xiao Yan clearly remembered that the original skill of this holy flame was an eternal nightmare. That is to create a huge illusion that covers thousands of miles, and bring all the human beings in the entire world into the illusion. The human beings in the illusion will produce many beautiful environment images, so they go out very much. Over time, the energy of the angry soul is constantly being destroyed. The holy flame absorbs them, and thus suffers a lot. After they are exhausted, they will be completely transformed into the nourishment of the holy flame. Buddha's anger. Reincarnation. Taking a deep breath, Xiao Yan's palm, the amber flames danced quietly. After a while, looking at the deadly aura above the magic flower, Xiao Yan's palm, in order the delicate lotus seeds that were trembling violently in the surrounding space gently emerged. The lotus seeds stood quietly like the medicinal pills of Lord Longan. There were 4 colors, which were quite dazzling. Even this world became quiet after the appearance of the 4-color lotus seeds. Your holy flame is mine. Looking at the exquisite lotus seeds in Xiao Yan's hands, Soul Zhanghai smelled a wave of infinitely close to death from it, but after a brief hesitation, he still laughed. In the early stage of the 7-star fighting immortal, he even had the existence of Sheng Yanzuo. How could he be defeated by a waste who was barely promoted to the late 6-star fighting immortal stage with external force? Come on! With a wave of his big hand, the 4-color lotus seeds contained a touch of dazzling fire, and they were gently projected towards the Soul River and Sea. At that time, this space suddenly collapsed, and countless ghosts and ghosts were completely eaten away. Wan Hunhua. Swallow it for me. Seeing Xiao Yan's terrifying offensive, Han Zhanghai laughed, and then he pushed his palms heavily, and a terrifying energy and lamp emerged from the flowers, and for a time, the space shock. Boom! The delicate lotus seeds seem to be weak and small, but the power contained in them has reached an indescribable level. When they just touched the magic flower, there was a harsh collision and friction sound. Spreading out, bursts of white smoke continued to spread out from the place where the 2 clashed, and the battle situation was anxious. Chi-chi! After the breath, the 4-color lotus seeds became unsupported, and the countless evil forces above the magic flower took the upper hand. Reincarnation of Buddha's anger. Bloom. Seeing this scene, Xiao Yan closed his eyes gently and muttered. Boom! As soon as the voice fell, the Buddha's furious samsara suddenly contracted like a heart, and then suddenly expanded. With a thud, the space trembled violently, and exploded directly in midair. At this moment, the world turned pale, and even dozens of magnificent palaces in the royal city around the altar were completely annihilated by the heat wave of Buddha's wrath. Wang Om! At this moment, the magic flower seemed to have received an irresistible force, and immediately contracted like a 4-color lotus seed, and then swelled. However, how could Firefly Ash win glory with Haoyue, and how could the mere Saint Yanzuo, even if it was cast by the 7-star fighting immortals, be comparable to the power of the fusion of the 4 Saint Flames? At the same time, the power that the magic flower erupted was completely wiped out by the destructive power of the Buddha's wrath, and at the moment when the 4-color fire lotus exploded, Soul Zhanghai's pupils shrank tightly, apparently sensing something. 4 holy flames? How is that possible? Looking at the spectacular scenery in the void like a furnace of flames, Soul Zhanghai's expression finally became solemn, and a fear of death entangled in his heart unconsciously. The error-free chapters of Fighting the Sky God of Yan Emperor, will continue to be updated on linkedtonovel.com, and there will be no advertisements on the site. Please collect and share. If you like Yandi of the God of Fighting the Sky, please collect it. The Emperor of the God of Fighting the Sky is the fastest to update. Continuing from the previous episode 1832. 4 holy flames? How is that possible? Looking at the top of the sky like a flame bottle, the continuous stream of flame ripples overflowing from the bottle mouth. The breath contained in it is enough to truly burn everything to ashes. The shock in the heart of Soul Janghai will not last for a long time. Stop. The preciousness of the holy flame is comparable to that of the very few artifacts in the Great Thousand World. However, in the memory of Soul River Sea, ordinary people can only swallow one, and if there is one more, they will probably die in the face of explosion. Threatening, even the most powerful person in their soul hall would only dare to swallow one holy flame. A guy like Xiao Yan who has 4 holy flames at the same time has no way of recording it in Soul Janghai's memory. And the most shocking thing is Soul Janghai. Cultivation method. In an instant, the shocking expression of Soul Janghai was filled with ecstasy. Although he was defeated now, but knowing Xiao Yan's secret, he would naturally have time to clean up him in the future, but the strong people in Soul Hall were not. It was to conceal the news that Xiao Yan had multiple holy flames at the same time. Boom! The hot holy flames fluctuated, completely destroying the entire Wangcheng within a radius of dozens of kilometers, turning it into a land of ruins that could not be leveled. Cough, cough. As this heart-pounding wave of destruction spread for a while, the power of Wan Mahua also became illusory, and finally drowned in the scorching fire and was annihilated by it. The flower shattered, and the breath in the Soul River Sea was exhausted like a broken flower and a willow. After a few violent coughs, the black mist around the body was directly shaken by the soul of the holy flame, and an almost transparent soul body stood weakly in the air. His face was pale, and there was a trace of cold killing intent in his eyes. It's not advisable to stay here for a long time, let's do business first, but I didn't expect that I would be defeated by this guy. The illusory soul body squirmed gently, and suddenly there were traces of escape. Want to run? After Xiao Yan finished the reincarnation of Buddha's wrath, his breath was also quite weak, but at this time, the breath of Soul Janghai was even weaker than his own. Xiao Yan, if you kill me, Soul Palace will definitely list you as a mortal enemy, and you will never die. You have to think about it. From Xiao Yan's scarlet eyes, Soul Janghai really felt a wave of death. Roaring while running, trying to use the Soul Palace to shock Xiao Yan. Chi-Chi. Just as Han Janghai was about to escape, an amber flame suddenly emerged from Han Janghai's side, easily binding him in place. Isn't this a joke? As for the Soul Palace, although it is not a mortal enemy, I will find it sooner or later. Xiao Yan walked out of the void with a faint breath, and a touch of amber liquid on the palm of his hand was like a death token, beating violently, swore an oath. Soul Janghai's death. No! With the appearance of the source of holy flame on Xiao Yan's palm, the illusory soul body of Soul Janghai trembled violently. Don't kill me, I can tell you everything you want to know. All this, fear descended in the eyes of Soul Janghai, begging for mercy like a prisoner. Peefed. With a sound, Xiao Yan didn't show any signs of keeping his hands. The amber liquid gently wrapped the Soul River Sea. Suddenly, this invincible Soul Palace powerhouse was completely destroyed in Xiao Yan's hands, and even all this happened. Between the electric light and flint, there was no screaming, and the Soul River and Sea in the early stage of the 7-star fighting immortals completely fell. It's a pity that Shengen Ziwo has also been extinguished, otherwise, you can rely on Ziwo to find the source of Shengen. Seeing the complete fall of Soul Janghai, Xiao Yan shook his head. Crack! When Soul Janghai was completely burned to ashes by the source of holy flame, a rather simple closed stone box slowly appeared in Xiao Yan's sight. Above the stone box, there is an ancient and simple wave, as thick as an arm, and no trace can be seen, just like an ordinary item. This is. Xiao Yan's eyes were slightly startled, staring at the stone box, quite puzzled. This thing can actually stay still under the burning of the source of holy flame? This is the newly born holy flame, which combines the 4-color holy flames, which is enough to rank in the top 15 holy flames. Combining with what the experts in the Soul Palace just said, Soul Janghai seems to carry some treasures that subdue the Emperor. Could it be this? It doesn't matter. put it away first, or rush to the emperor's palace first. But I always feel that this election seems to be planned by Yuan Shou and the emperor together. Just what are they doing? During the conversation, he put away the stone box and walked directly to the king's bedroom, but at this time, the magnificent king's city had turned into dust because of the fight he had just fought, and a trace of violence. The flames moved slowly, swallowing all the gloomy aura that remained, quite desolate. As for the strange stone box in Xiaoyan's hands, its origin is mysterious, and it later saved Xiaoyan's life. On the other side, with the conclusion of Xiaoyan's battle here, the battle above the sky just started. Elders, if you put down your weapons and surrender to me and wait for me to rule the Tianxing continent, you will be a one-to-one hero. Lin Fengye put his hands behind his back and stepped on the black coffin under his feet, like a king. With a sneer, a dark, icy aura filled his body. Don't be ashamed. Wait until I catch you and send you to the emperor's bedroom, and the emperor will deliver it himself. Hu Lao took the lead. The spear on the palm of his hand was a little sharper, and he pointed at Lin Fengye. Since it's so stubborn, then, die. Go! After the 10 elders are obliterated, the entire royal family will belong to us. Lin Fengye looked at the emperor's soul surrounded by evil spirits, and said with ecstasy, in a short while, the emperor will be completely convinced yourself. At that time, everything will be in your hands again. Even though Lin Yunshu has the power of stars, how can he turn the tide with the power of one person? Lin Feng, he has the strongest combat power in the Sky Star continent, but so what? How can a mere martial artist fight with himself? He really thought that the Holy Sea Angel would be willing to help him? Using the devil fruit as a bargaining chip, the angel naturally came from helping him, although Lin Feng's fall was probably only a matter of time. Now, it's all just a matter of time. He. I heard that the wood attribute of the Sky Star continent is tyrannical and unusual. Today, I will come to meet the elders of the Sky Star continent. During the speech, a gloomy man on top of a dragon corpse, surrounded by black light, had a gloomy and strange tone. Boom! With a loud voice, above the void, just above the 4 dragons' lock coffin, the dark clouds and thunderbolts were extremely powerful, like the wrath of the gods, rendering the breath of Soul Wuji to the peak. 7 stars fighting immortals is complete. Looking at Soul Wuji's means, and the figures above the other 3 dragon corpses, Hu Lao's expression suddenly became heavy. 1 7-star Do Xian is complete. 1 is in the late stage of the 7-star Do Xian, and the 2 are in the early stage of the 7-star Do Xian. Even if they are 10 veterans, it is extremely difficult to deal with. Because the strength of the 10 elders is in the early stage of the 7-star Do Xian to the late stage of the 7-star Do Xian. Among them, there are only 5 people who are stronger than the early stage of the 7-star Do Xian, and only 3 who have reached the late stage of the 7-star Do Xian. For a time, the real war between heaven and earth started slowly. The error-free chapters of Fighting the Sky God of Yan Emperor will continue to be updated on linktonovel.com, and there will be no advertisements on the site. Please collect and share. If you like Yandi of the God of Fighting the Sky, please collect it. The Emperor of the God of Fighting the Sky is the fastest to update. Continuing from the previous episode 1833. Do it! As Lin Fengye's voice fell, the 4 dragon corpses on the sky suddenly shook, and were immediately controlled by the figures above their heads to spread out, and blasted away at the 10 elders. The 3 7-star fighting immortals will be handed over to me in the late stage. Soul Wuji snorted coldly, driving the dragon corpse to face the most tyrannical 3 of the 10 elders. Tiger Lao, Wolf Lao, Ying Lao, the 3 powerhouses in the late stage of the 7-star fighting immortals. What should I do now? The strength and seniority of the 3 were obviously led by Hu Lao, and asked. Do it! Hu Lao's eyes suddenly became solemn, and then he looked at the black coffin above his head and the pitch-black evil cloud, hesitating. Among them, there seems to be something more terrifying. Heavenly Soul Palm. Soul Wuji did not hold back. The reason why he chose the 3 late-stage 7-star fighting immortal powerhouses was naturally because he coveted their souls. With one palm, the desolate screams of countless Yinfeng roars spread out from Soul Wuji's body. Immediately, a huge dark palm appeared in front of it, and with a sudden push, the space shook violently, as if it would be completely at any time. Common collapse. What the *** is going on with this Soul Temple powerhouse? Hu Lao looked at Soul Wuji's blow, and his heart flickered with surprise, and then the hair behind him suddenly stood up, and the dazzling green aura on his body formed a full force in front of the three of them. 100 meters deep defensive wall shield. Bang bang bang, the eerie soul palm just fell, and the Soul Wuji and the dragon corpse flickered together, coming directly to the three of them, and suddenly there was a shadow in the corner of the Soul Wuji's eyes, and the palms were raised. Countless dark and gloomy the black mist lingered, vaguely turning into a huge energy cage, and slammed down on the three of them. Not good. When the three of them saw this, they just wanted to defend themselves, but found that it was too late. The wooden defensive wall was destroyed by Soul Palm, and Soul Wuji's fierce offensive clearly wanted to solve themselves in the fastest time. Arrangement. At the critical moment, Tiger Lao's eyes became serious, and a majestic voice permeated. Wood grain star formation. At the same time, the other two elders looked at each other, stretched out their hands, and a touch of the same green power, full of endless life breath, quietly permeated from the three of them, and then pushed the four of them. Completely wrapped. It is like the domain is isolated from the outside world, and it is like a formation that imprisons Soul Wuji. Boom! With a sound, Soul Wuji's attack landed on the green aura. As if hitting cotton, it was bounced back. This devil must be kept here forever. Hu Lao took the lead and took a sudden step, wrapped in countless green life breaths, like a favored person favored by the forest goddess. Kill! The eyes of the other two elders flickered rapidly. After the breath, their strength was like a tiger, and the fierceness in their eyes was revealed. The three of them formed a triangle to surround the soul. They should still have a little time, so let's have a good time with you. I just checked the souls of you, so I can build that thing. Susu. Soul Wuji is still standing on the dragon corpse, the dragon although the corpse has fallen, but the remaining power is blessed. The current Soul Wuji, the strength has vaguely reached the limit. The 7-star fighting immortal is complete, and it is only one step away from the 8-star fighting immortal. If you want to kill 3 people, it is obviously possible. A lot of effort. Yin Soul Eater. Magic Dog, come out. Seeing the green aura bursting out from the three of them, slowly filling the space, there is a faint touch of the strongest power emerging from this field, but Soul Wuji is covered dismissively and sneered. Just as Hun Wuji's cold snort fell, the ground wrapped by the domain under his feet suddenly vibrated violently, and the domain ground wrapped by the formation quickly cracked open, one after another as huge cracks in abyss spread. Woo! At the same time, under the abyss of the rift, bursts of terrifying screams and screams filled the air, accompanied by a strong and disgusting asterisk smell, which was also continuously flowing from the rift figure. Burst out from below. The sudden scene surprised the 3 elders who were concentrating on casting the joint seal, as if there was some kind of evil in the abyss of the crack, but after a brief hesitation, they also knew that the gap between the two's combat power was too huge. If the joint seal cannot be displayed, I am afraid that the entire continent will be bloodbathed by Soul Wuji alone. What this guy wants is definitely not only fame and fortune, but countless blood and souls of the deceased. Everyone knows the wolf ambitions of the Soul Palace. Is that a demon dog? Isn't this a creature in the underworld? Soul Palace, how is this possible? At this time, in the abyss of the domain, a pair of vertical eyes, like the eagle at the top of the food chain now looking down at his food, revealed an extremely fierce oppression. My pet, enjoy your dinner. Soul Wuji controlled the dragon corpse and easily floated on the top of the field, and then a frenzied roar resounded through the entire field formation. Ow! The creature in the rift abyss seemed to have received an order, and moved gently, with a loud voice full of endless killing intent. Wanmu Soul Palace. Looking at the crazy behavior of Soul Wuji in front of him, and looking at the demon dog that slowly walked out of the abyss of the crack, the power of the 3 elders forcibly merged and displayed the sealing fighting skill. Although this is not the most perfect sealing fighting skill, but if they wait like this, they will definitely die. Because the aura on that demon dog is only stronger or weaker than Soul Wuji. Chi-Chi. After the seal fighting technique was performed, a magnificent palace stood above the heads of the 3 of them. The whole body of the palace is engraved with green auras, like a hall inhabited by a shrine, and the seal aura mixed on it is enough to completely suppress Soul Wuji. Give me the town. The 3 elders squeezed their palms tightly and projected them towards the location of Soul Wuji. Suddenly, the entire domain space became quiet, and the magnificent palace was like a rainbow light, piercing the sky. Peefed. A strange thing happened. Just when the power of the seal of the magnificent palace eroded into Soul Wuji, his body suddenly became illusory, and then the palace buildings filled with the power of the strongest seal quietly penetrated from the surface of his body. That feeling seems to be that the Soul Wuji in front of you is just a virtual image. It's over. The power of the seal smashed on the edge of the field, and the field suddenly collapsed. Blow yourself up? Swallow it for me. Looking at the determination in the pupils of the three elders, Soul Wuji waved his hand, and the power in the three people's bodies was completely suppressed. At this moment, the devil dog in the rift abyss also came out, turned around, directly with the aura of destruction, biting the bodies of the three elders, blood essence, even the soul. This soul is still useful to me. Seeing this, Soul Wuji waved his hand, and the weak soul body of the late stage of the 3 Dao 7-star fighting immortals was taken into the bag. At this moment, the 3 elders of the late stage of the 7-star fighting immortals have completely fallen. They are as tyrannical as these strong men. The error-free chapters of Fighting the Sky God of Yan Emperor will continue to be updated on linkedtonovel.com, and there will be no advertisements on the site. Please collect and share. If you like Yandi of the God of Fighting the Sky, please collect it. The Emperor of the God of Fighting the Sky is the fastest to update. Continuing from the previous episode 1834. Boom! Above the sky, pitch-black dark clouds continued to flicker, and beams of thunder beams of hundreds of meters in size suddenly descended with monstrous momentum. Hu Lao and the others, did they win? The other 7 elders were slightly startled, looking at the battle circle surrounded by black smoke. A solemn aura slowly stepped out. As Soul Wuji entangled the 3 most powerful late-stage 7-star fighting immortals, there were several other battles for a while, and the fight was inextricable. Chi-Chi, the 3 elders have perished, and you will be captured soon. A powerful voice emanated from the black smoke. How is it possible? Looking at Soul Wuji, who was recklessly riding on the dragon corpse, the 7 elders froze and lost their voices. Just now, the 3 elders imprisoned Soul Wuji with the power of the formation domain, trying to suppress and obliterate him, but as time passed, the domain of the 3 elders was shattered, and there was no breath at all. What the asterisk is this Soul Wuji doing? The other 3 powerhouses standing on the dragon corpse were all chilled when they saw this. They knew the strength of the 3 7-star Do Xian late-stage veterans, but now they are completely fallen to the hands of Soul Wuji. For the prince's plan, it's your turn next. Su. Surrounded by black mist, his eyes lifted sharply and he glanced at the dark clouds and the distant emperor's palace. Soul Wuji's eyes flickered, and the black mist all over his body violently squirmed. It diffuses out of the body. Hey! After the blink of an eye, with Soul Wuji at the core, a strange black hole emerged spontaneously. It was like a Pandora's box dedicated to holding demons and evildoers. It was like a bottomless pit, and the steady stream of terrifying power overflowed, making the strong present uneasy. Join us! Seeing this, the 7 elders burst out with Do Chi from their bodies, and their bodies were tightly tensed, but letting them attack would still be useless to the black hole. Retreat! Seeing this, the other 3 strong men above the dragon corpse drove the dragon corpse and returned to the edge of the black coffin. Tiao Lao! The 7 elders did their best, but when they hit the black hole, it was like hitting cotton. Not long after, a dark chain, filled with countless mourning voices, suddenly wrapped around one of the 7 people. Body. Cici. The black chain just wrapped around Lao Lao, and Lao Lao's face suddenly became ugly, his face was pale, and the breath in his body was like a deflated balloon, falling rapidly. This guy is devouring my strength, even my vitality. Lao Lao's eyes changed suddenly and he exclaimed in shock. It's over, completely turn it into my nourishment. Ha ha ha. At this time, Soul Wuji was like an ambitious madman, black chains constantly emerging from black holes all over his body, like a poisonous snake, blasting away at the 7 elders from a very tricky angle. The breath suddenly weakened, and with the help of the link between the chain and the black hole, pure power poured into the black hole. Prince, this guy doesn't seem right. And so far, there has been no good news from the Emperor's palace. The 3 strong men had just returned to the black coffin. Uncle Lin narrowed his eyes, looking at the situation where Soul Wuji was massacred by one person, and said, Don't worry, everything is under control. If Soul Wuji is beyond my control, it will be nothing but suicide. As he spoke, on Lin Fengya's palm, an agate red fruit quietly emerged. This is his greatest reliance. This fruit seems to be small, but the breath and power contained in it really make the world pale. But the strange thing is that the whole body of the fruit seems to be covered with a vague seal. Ah! At this moment, lightning flashed and thundered above the sky, and Soul Wuji, like an evil god, stood quietly. It's you guys. Seeing the miserable appearance of the 7 elders, Hun Wuji snorted coldly, and 3 chains engraved with countless spooky ghost patterns emerged from the black hole, piercing the void. Facing the 3, the strong man above the dragon corpse roared away. With that level of power, even if they had the blessing of dragon corpses, their faces changed drastically. Hun Wuji, are you crazy? Seeing such a fierce attack emerging, Uncle Lin's eyes froze and he asked in shock. As of now, there is no need to hide it. In the eyes of our soul palace, you are just a group of ants. You should be lucky to die at my hands, because soon, you will be devotees of that ceremony. That's your honor, so die for me. As soon as the voice fell, Soul Wupeler became the torturer who controlled the black hole, and countless sinister and evil forces rendered the entire sky. Prince. When the 3 of them saw this, they were all shocked, and looked at Lin Fengya with anxious eyes. The power of the 3 of them faced Soul Wuji, which meant that they had no life or death. Hoo, that's ironic. At this moment, Lin Fengya's palm was gently raised, and a crystal-clear devil fruit appeared on his palm. Suddenly, the entire sky was filled with extreme silence. Devil fruit? At this moment, Soul Wuji's crazy smile instantly solidified, and the black hole ghosts around him kept shaking. It seemed that this tiny devil fruit contained a power that made Soul Wuji fear. Crack! For some unknown reason, a sound like a crystal shattering sounded around the devil fruit suddenly. The fully ripe devil fruit was only half filled with liquid. Oh, Gamma, you bastard! Looking at this scene, looking at the palm-sized fruit like an agate, half of it was hollow, and only half was filled with a special dark green liquid, Lin Feng said. Ya's pupils shrank tightly and shouted. When Xiao Yan broke into the underground palace, Lin Fengya forced Gamma to hand over the remaining 2 devil fruits. In the end, he even used his soul power to force the whereabouts of one. Following Gamma's soul memory, he found the devil fruit. Although there was only one, Lin Fengya checked it again and found that it was the mature one. He didn't bother with Gamma, and sent Gamma directly to the Emperor's bedroom. I want to be buried with the Emperor, but where did I think that the *** Gamma actually set up a blindfold on the devil fruit to deceive himself? 2 devil fruits, 1 half ripe and 1 fully ripe. But the power contained in it is worlds apart. Lin Fengya, it seems that you have done a lot of evil, and God will not help you. Su. At this moment, Soul Wuji laughed loudly, and the figure in the black hole instantly poured into the pitch-black dark clouds above the sky. At that time, an evil cloud like a furnace of ** slowly brewed and was born. At this moment, the world turned pale, and countless sinister and evil breaths filled the entire Tianyuan mountains. The awe-inspiring aura and scenes were no different from the real hell. Cold, dark, and awe-inspiring. The error-free chapters of Fighting the Sky God of Yan Emperor will continue to be updated on linkttonovel.com, and there will be no advertisements on the site. Please collect and share. If you like Yandi of the God of Fighting the Sky, please collect it. The Emperor of the God of Fighting the Sky is the fastest to update.